Game of Thrones Season 4 I dare not summarize in any way, shape, form, or fashion because I might run the risk of adding a spoiler. And there are a lot of plot twists and development happening throughout this season. I mean, if you blink, you miss a pivotal moment. And that made me realize something about the series. There is no episode throughout the series so far that gives you a recap of previous events. Like, for example, you don't get this voiceover that comes up at the beginning of an episode saying previously on Game of Thrones, and that is followed by a montage of clips from previous seasons and episodes. You don't get it here with this entire series. I mean, if you miss an episode, or you're unfortunate enough to miss an episode, then, as that Maroon 5 song goes, you will be screwed. And given that the events at the end of season 3, and I'm referring to the events at the royal wedding, have pretty much set the tone for the rest of the series onward, this season remains, or at least tries to remain, committed to maintaining that tone throughout. And however, it still transitions because of the amount of story arcs featuring so many characters, because a tonal transition basically with a series that features so many characters is bound to happen, but what it does do successfully is maintain this extremely bleak atmosphere. I mean, some shots or some frames in this series look so dirty they actually give you a bad taste in your mouth. And this mainly because it tries to maintain that tone, or at least that atmosphere, from the events following the royal wedding. And while all the story arcs still remain compelling, there is one that has again fallen into a slight case of repetitiveness, and that's a story arc involving Stannis Baratheon and Lady Melisandre and the rest of the characters involved in that arc. Basically, when they get together or it cuts to this arc, you can predict the conversations each of the characters are going to have. Like in previous seasons, if Melisandre wanted to convince somebody of something that she was convinced is true, she would have them looking at a flaming torch. That in fact happens like it did in previous seasons, not a spoiler. And of course, the interactions between the rest of the characters are pretty much what you'd expect, especially between Stannis and Melisandre, where it's basically Melisandre reminding Stannis that he is the one true king, and Stannis again saying, "How can I be a king if I don't even have an army to lead?" And me thinking, can't Melisandre maybe go off and find somebody else to screw with? So again, this is another exciting season, but this time I think I favor season 4 a bit more, or slightly more, than the previous three, only because it's way more compelling with its constant developing plot. But there's no fault with seasons 1, 2, and 3. They are exciting in their own way, and because each season has a unique feel to them, the entire story remains unique throughout. And it makes it easy to get invested in because it never feels the same. I think it's purely sometimes the dialogue between certain characters that might get a little bit repetitive, although it's not a severe case of repetitiveness it happens to fall into, just a minor. It doesn't even affect the experience. So, in closing, I would again like to remind my fellow Facebook users and Twitter peeps to stay safe, wash your hands, wear your masks, and I'll check you guys later.